Hello, I'm Mark Crutcher, and it's Friday, September the 1st, 2017, and you're watching Life Talk. As you may notice from her absence, my usual sidekick here is not with us today. She took a long Labor Day weekend, and she and her family, her husband and her kids, went for, are you waiting for this, a camping trip. And we've gone over this before. I'll never get it. I don't know why we have come this far in human history so that we can go outside and sleep in the woods like people did thousands of years ago, when you've got a perfectly good house and air conditioning and televisions and food and all that stuff at home. But anyway, Renee and her family like that sort of thing, so that's where they've gone today. And anyway, we're going to be talking in a minute about the role that money plays in the abortion industry. We think we might have a pretty good feel for it, but I think there's some parts of it that we don't always recognize. But before we get to that, I'm going to let Renee come here by videotape, of course, and give us her offer for a free pro-life pen. Watch this.
Hi, have you seen this pen? It's really neat, and people all over America are using them to show their support for the pro-life cause. They're available from Life Dynamics for $5, but because you're a Life Talk viewer, I'm going to make you an offer you can't resist. If you don't already have one of these pens, go to lifedynamics.com/prolifepen. Then when you check out, use the promo code at the bottom of the screen and I'll send you one of these pens as my gift. I'll even pay the postage. If you prefer, you can also order by phone at area code 940-380-8800. Now you can't beat that price, right? So order yours today and make sure all of your pro-life friends get one for themselves. Again, go to lifedynamics.com/prolifepen and use a promo code below or call 940-380-8800.
Welcome back. And you might notice that the promo code for this week is Bigfoot, and we always told you that every promo code will be a different city in Texas. And yes, there is a Bigfoot, Texas, believe it or not. In any event, we've all seen this effort going on all over the country to take funding away from Planned Parenthood, which it should have never had any funding to begin with. If we're going to fund Planned Parenthood, we might as well go ahead and fund the Klan. It's no less a racist organization than the Ku Klux Klan is. But one of the things I always bring up when we talk about this subject of taxpayer funding of abortion, what happened to choice? The pro-aborts always say that this is just about choice, allowing people to choose whether they want to have an abortion or not. But they don't want us to have a choice whether we pay for it or not. So even if we know that abortion is murder, it's our responsibility to pay for that abortion for someone else. So the hypocrisy of this knows no bounds. And the interesting thing is, if you've been in this as long as I've been in it, you were around back in the day when we were debating abortion 30 years ago and 35 years ago, and they were pushing this thing that was about choice. And when we would bring up the possibility of taxpayer dollars being used to pay for it, their standard line was, oh, no, we're not interested in that. We're going to ask you to pay for it. If you think it's murder, you don't have to participate in it by using your money to pay for it. So we'll never ask you to do that. Well, here we are. Of course, we knew they were lying at the time. The abortion industry's lies are always easy to see, and this was one of the easier ones to see. But anyway, the interesting thing here is, or one of the interesting thing is, if you look at the attitude that Planned Parenthood has and other members of the abortion lobby have about taxpayer funding, their attitude is that it's owed to them. And if they don't get it, they'll bring lawsuits because that money is owed to them. They honestly think that money belongs to them. They don't get the concept of it being taken out of the pocketbooks or the paychecks of hardworking people who know that abortion is murder. They don't care about that. They think that money is owed to them. Now, years ago, for those of you who are old enough to remember the Watergate hearings against Nixon, one of the witnesses there was a former Nixon protege named John Dean. And he was making the point, and it's been proven true time and time again. He said, if you want to figure out something in American politics, all you have to do is follow the paper trail. In other words, the money. If you follow the money, you'll figure out what's going on in almost anything in American society or American politics or American culture. And that's really true, and it particularly applies, or at least equally applies, to the abortion industry. When we talk about the money that's involved, we have this tendency to think about it only in the context of they want this money so they can buy a new Mercedes-Benz, or so they can take this trip or pay their house payments, or whatever it might be, whatever anybody might use money for. We think about it in that context, and that's a legitimate way to think about it. But there's also another way to think about it. And to understand that, what you have to do is compare abortion clinics to crisis pregnancy centers and follow the paper trail, follow the money. When a woman walks into an abortion clinic and pays the goons in there $500, whatever she pays them, to murder her baby, where does that money go? Now, yes, some of it goes to pay the Mercedes payment, some of it goes to pay the house payment, some of it goes to pay the water bill, whatever. There's no doubt about that. Pay the employees, pay the taxes, if they pay their taxes. But some of it makes it into the political effort of the abortion lobby. So the abortionist or the abortion clinic or both, and all the employees there, or most of them, are going to belong to organizations like the National Abortion Federation or National Abortion Rights Action League or the ACLU Reproductive Rights Division, People for the American Way. They're going to belong to at least one, and usually several, of these radically pro-abortion political organizations. Because the abortionist understands, and the people who work in the abortion clinic understand, they don't have the time to go out and take time away from their baby killing to go out and lobby for legislation or lobby against pro-life legislation or lobby for federal funding or whatever it might be. They don't have time to do that. So basically what they do is they hire these, what are fundamentally trade organizations like National Abortion Federation. They're trade organizations for the abortion industry. They hire them to do their lobbying. And so when the flow is that some of the money that comes in to that abortion clinic, that woman comes in there, pays them money to kill her baby, some of that money then flows into the political process to keep abortion legal so that the next woman can come in and pay them to kill her baby, and then that money goes back into the political process, and it's a vicious cycle. And without that money flowing in like that, the abortion industry is in deep trouble. So that's the reason they fight any restrictions on abortion. I don't care if it'll reduce the abortion rate by one abortion. They need that money, not just to pay for their luxuries. Now, the counter to this, if you think about it, is the Crisis Pregnancy Center. A woman goes into a CPC. She's thinking about having an abortion. They give her a pregnancy test. It comes back positive. And she's considering having an abortion. They convince her not to have an abortion. Don't kill your baby. They show her a sonogram or whatever they do or they offer her help if she does have the baby. If she allows the baby to be born alive, she does get some help from them. And so if you think about the way the money flows, in the first instant, the woman comes in that's pregnant, has an abortion, the money flows from her to the abortion clinic to the process to keep abortion legal. In the Crisis Pregnancy Center, the money flows from the woman who's pregnant from the Crisis Pregnancy Center back to her. It doesn't go into the political process. There is no money that goes in there. In fact, money comes out of the pro-life political process because there's a finite amount of money. It's not a bottomless pit. If you're pro-life, if you take all the pro-lifers in the country, and they're going to, say this pro-lifer is going to give $100 a month into the pro-life cause, and he decides, well, I'm going to give it to the Crisis Pregnancy Center. That's a laudable thing to do. So he gives that money there. That means it doesn't go into the political process. It doesn't go into the educational process. It goes into the Crisis Pregnancy Center. So the point is that every time you got two women that are pregnant, one goes to the abortion clinic, one goes to the Crisis Pregnancy Center. When they win their girl, their political process gets richer. When we win our girl or our woman, our political process gets poorer. And that's just a reality. And make sure you understand so that there's no misunderstanding here. I am not at all suggesting that we quit funding the CPCs. No way that should happen. Because, yes, we lose money every time we help a woman in a CPC. Every time we help a woman, the political process to stop abortion gets weaker. That's a reality. But also, their process gets weaker because they don't have the money for killing that baby. But the most important thing is the baby's not killed. So we have to keep funding the CPCs, and that's a laudable effort that we have to keep doing. But we have to recognize what the realities are. And the realities are, just what I said a moment ago, when they win a woman, their political process gets better. When we win a woman, our political process gets worse. And that's just the way it's always going to be. But if you think that that's not overcomable, think again. God isn't afraid of this, believe me. This is not a process. He fully understands what this is, but he's not afraid of it. But the point we have to keep on remembering here, I've been criticized a lot by pro-lifers when I point out that the abortion rate has plummeted over the last 25, 30 years. In 1992, when I started Life Dynamics, there were 2,126 freestanding abortion clinics in this country doing 1.7 million abortions. Today, there's about 500 abortion clinics left, and they do a little bit less than 1 million. Now, 1 million dead babies is still an outrage and a national disgrace that God is going to hold this nation accountable for at some point. But the fact is, there are about 700,000 fewer mechanical abortions being done today than were being done in 1992. That's 2,000 babies a day. So when we reduce the abortion rate, we save about 2,000 babies a day. But the other part of that is that's 2,000 babies every day who are not being killed, and part of the money for killing them going into the political process to keep abortion legal. So that's why it is so crucial. It is absolutely crucial for the abortion industry, as that money goes away, as the abortion rate continues to plummet, which it does, as that continues to happen, they've got to replenish that money somewhere. And so now choice is out the window. We don't have a choice whether we want to pay for them or not. That's their argument. You have to pay for them. And that's why it's so crucial that we take that money out of the system. If you're a pro-abort and you think that first off, I always hear this language about there being a pro-choice majority in the country. Of course, that's political nonsense. But if there is no such thing, not when you define choice as the right to kill a baby right up till the moment of birth for any reason whatsoever, or for no reason whatsoever, by a woman of any age or a girl of any age, without parental knowledge, without parental consent. That's how they define choice. When you define it that way, to argue that there is a pro-choice majority in this country is nonsense. But if you believe that it is, then round up all your people and have them pay for these abortions for women who don't have the money for them. But why are you going back on what you've always traditionally said, which was that you would not force people like me, people who are pro-life, to pay for other people's abortions when we know it to be murder? But this is the reality in America today, in American politics. But it is very crucial for you to think about these political ramifications here. And what happens as you follow the money trail, like John Dean said, if you follow that money trail, you can figure out any political, any cultural, any social environment in America, or in the world, actually. If you follow the money trail will always reveal what's really going on. And that's what's happening here. Anyway, listen, if you have ideas for shows that you'd like to see, you have questions you'd like to ask, be sure and send them to Renee. She's normally here. She's not here today, obviously. And we won't be back on Monday. Her camping trip is going to extend over until Monday, and everybody's going to be off Monday anyway, so it wouldn't matter if she wasn't out camping, which, again, I don't understand, but that's what they're doing. Anyway, Little Rainy Sunshine will be back next week. We'll be back with another show on Wednesday. Until then, if you can come up with ideas that you'd like to see discussed here, or something that just doesn't make sense to you in the pro-life, pro-abortion struggle, send it to Renee. Let us deal with it. And if we do use your subject on Life Talk, we'll send you a free Life Talk mug, just like this, an official Life Talk mug. We will send you one, Life Dynamics mug. We will send you one. And anyway, that's about all the time we have for this show. Until next Wednesday, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next Wednesday.